Station 51, engine 27, engine 32, truck 105.
You're listening to The Fire Break with Steve Wolf.
Welcome to The Fire Break. I'm Steve Wolf. Welcome back. As you know, The Fire Break is sponsored by Team Wildfire, and then every week we go on the air 3 times a week trying to figure out what's going on with fire in our community. What is going on? I don't know. But I bet you Brittany Brown can shed some light on this. Brittany is the chief in charge of fire prevention in Kansas City. How are things in Kansas City? I know you're burning a lot of barbecue there.
Just south. We're in Leawood.
Okay.
So far, so good. Never want to jinx us, of course.
All right. So what are the challenges that you're facing? I know you're not really primarily focused on wildfire, but these days there seems to be more of a crossover where wildfires become urban conflagrations, and urban conflagrations, even if they're small ones, start wildfires. What are you seeing these days, and what trends are you noticing?
So I'm brand new to Kansas, as in I've started just a month ago, but I did come from the Colorado area. So I was northeast Colorado, and wildland fire was a much bigger concern for us out there. Here in this part of Kansas, it is very, very green, and we don't have a lot of open space at all. Vegetation is probably the greenest I've ever seen. I come from the southeast New Mexico, Texas Panhandle area, so very different landscape. They're also built way up as opposed to incredibly sparsely populated like I'm used to.
I
So
see.
getting used to that. This is the first department I've ever been a part of where we don't even have a grass truck. We don't have a brush rig.
Wow. So they really haven't had wildfire and maybe aren't expecting it, or if they are expecting it, they're not really ready for it.
We're very city. I know some of the county areas, some of our special districts, predominantly west of us and a little bit east on the Missouri side, that they do, but we are very much a city department.
I say, well, in city departments in London, they're starting to experience what they're calling wildfires in their park areas, just as the vegetation dries out in ways that it hasn't previously. So they're in this maybe similar boat of never having experienced wildland fire and now experience it downtown. But let's hope that doesn't come to you.
Yes, no, as I said, I'm still brand new, so I have not seen Kansas in the winter. In Colorado, we did, my department was close enough to the Marshal fire. We did have those concerns every single year. We responded to a lot of grass fires. And as part of fire prevention, being the fire marshal, part of my job was to help mitigate. So work with city and county emergency management as on behalf of a special district to kind of work some of those concerns. So not having that part of my job here is a little different.
Yeah, right. Where were you in Colorado?
Commerce City.
Oh, wow. Just right, halfway between Thornton and Denver.
Yeah, it's just northeast Denver, pretty much.
Okay. Yeah, we're in Boulder.
Okay.
So we know your former area. What led to the move to the Kansas area?
Greater opportunity. My husband retired, and we wanted to live somewhere beautiful and green, with lots of ponds and vegetation and trees.
And that's not what people. Well, right. People think prairie land in the heartland there.
Here it's beautiful. I was really surprised. We lived in the eastern plains of Colorado, so very flat. Trees were sparse. Just a lot of wildfire grasses. We were always worried about wildfire where we lived. We lived way out in the county. But here it's a very, very different landscape.
Interesting. Do you think that the landscape where you are now is changing? I know you just got there, but I'm sure you did a little diligence before you got there. Are they changing, or are they expecting change as things get hotter and drier and windier?
They were growing like crazy. So we used to have probably some vegetation areas in town. Almost all of those. Like we had a 45-acre plot that's going to now be high rises. It's going to be retail and apartment buildings and all of these things. So everything is just getting really, really close together, and even small areas of vegetation that would be located within my area, they're kind of disappearing. There's very little real estate left in my area.
So even a dog can't find a spot to pee. Huh?
Probably, they have a lot of parks. We'll be living when we do find a house. I don't even have a home yet. I'm still living in an Airbnb. We'll be living out in the county, so wildfire risk will be a bit higher out there, I imagine. We'll be looking predominantly south.
You don't think you're just going to get used to Airbnb life and no maintenance, no mortgage?
No, I still have a mortgage. I'm just
Oh,
still
you
in
do?
Colorado.
I see. In Commerce City?
No, we live out due east of Hudson,
I see.
so
Okay.
well out in Adams County.
Well, you'll have to send me the address. I'm looking.
Oh, okay. It's a good house.
Yeah. All right. Good. 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 So what's it been like coming into a new department?
It's been really interesting. This is a much smaller department than I'm used to. Commerce City was a district, so a lot of people, a lot of things. Here, we're less than 50% of the size, and also the community demographics are very different. I was used to the city in Commerce City, but we also had a lot of infrastructure, oil fields, distribution centers, just a lot of commerce. It was Commerce City. And
Right.
here it is predominantly residential and business. There's really not a lot of hazmat, really not much industrial. So it's just a very different department with a lot of different kind of problems in the city. Obviously, in Commerce City, you have a lot of very economically disadvantaged, socially disadvantaged populace. And here that's not as much the case. So
I see.
different programs. I'm having to learn different ways to do things.
Right.
Just with a different populace. So it's been a really good adjustment. I think this is a really fun place to be. I love the Kansas City area because it's so pretty and it's got the city and it's got everything else, but I can still be out in the county. So
That's nice.
decent amount of challenges trying to just learn how to do things up
Yeah.
here.
So now that you don't live in Commerce City anymore, and you can say what you want about it, why does it smell so bad when I drive through there?
I would not say anything bad about Commerce City, but I would say that due to the refineries, you do have all of the gases as natural byproducts from the oil refinement process. So you have a lot of sulfur.
Okay.
That's the smell. If
That's
you're
the smell.
going
Okay.
right down 270, there's a large amount of refineries there, and it is a hydrogen sulfide. It's just a natural byproduct of the oil field, and it's there, and it sinks. I mean, that's its vapor density. It's gonna sink, but it's pretty turbulent in that area, so that's just kind of where it sets. But that's why it smells.
Oh, thank you. Because every time I drive to the airport, like halfway through the drive, hold your breath. And
Yes. Yeah.
yes, okay. So it's how many refineries were there?
Oh, it's hard to keep track sometimes. I know they were saying 9 to 15. There's a couple of big ones. Obviously, Suncor is the largest. And then just a lot of infrastructure. We had Purina. We had just a ton of very, very large scale distribution infrastructure. I think we had all three rail lines. So we had BNSF and UP come through, and
Okay.
then another second or tertiary rail line as well. So lots of commerce coming in, lots of commerce coming out, just a ton of stuff and people everywhere. Very high population density, which was part of the challenge, is because you have all these people and we don't know where to put them all. So we had a lot of population density, especially in the northeast areas of Commerce City.
Okay. So a lot of challenges there. And so what I'm guessing that where you are now, it's not that there's not challenges, they're just different challenges.
Yes.
Maybe more enjoyable challenges for you.
Yes. Yes, as I get a little older, it's sometimes not bad to have just different challenges, but also not the bustling city of Commerce City was a lot.
Yeah. So as you start to get a feel for what the problems are or the challenges are in the area where you are now, what are you starting to sense are the concerns, on the fire prevention side? What are people concerned about, and what are they becoming more concerned about?
So in this community, like probably every community in the United States, fire is not our number one issue. It's EMS, and we do have a very large populace of older adults. So kind of working with some older adult education, addressing some of the fall risk, and a lot of EMS calls. So I think we're leaning towards kind of a paramedicine approach. But on
Okay.
my side, I do a lot of community risk reduction, which is all encompassing, everything from making sure that you're cooking properly to managing extension cords to what is your fall risk and why are you falling. And then on the paramedicine side, that's more the medical reasons on why someone's falling. So that's kind of our really big problem here. We do have some fire risk, especially with cooking. So we're trying to figure out some of the issues that we can kind of figure out, like a trend analysis to figure out what's happening, like what's the root cause, so we can develop some intervention measures there. And then,
Okay.
of course, everything for the kiddos,
Right.
get everyone kind of going early. We have a lot of CPR programs, a lot of kiddo-centric programs for our real early fire and life safety education. The sounds of safety, all the stuff we have for all the different ages of kids and what's the appropriate fire and life safety education strategy. So some of that's the same. The family age and the probably not older adults, but just your family age people, and then even some of your younger adults. Still trying to figure out, with all our data, what are some of the things that they're having trends with, so we
Okay.
can develop intervention measures with that. And it's not always fire. Sometimes it's medical, so it kind of depends. So I'm really just trying to get to know this community so I can find the best way to help.
And so you said one of the issues was cooking properly. What
Yes.
about eating properly?
I'm sorry.
I mean, on the EMS side, right? What you eat has a huge impact on what you get treated for.
Yes. And
So,
that is one of the things I know my EMS chief, he's looking at kind of the nurse practitioner side of community paramedicine on
okay.
how can we address their physical states, because I can help change their environment. I can look to say, okay, these are things you're going to trip over. This is an unstable environment. We can look at installing grab bars. We can look at moving rugs. We can look at just changing their environment, but their actual physical stability, their actual health, a lot of times that's medications. And so
Yeah.
I know that we're kind of doing a multifaceted approach.
So you're really not just like the fire department side. What are all the things that could hurt you and how can we
Yes.
mitigate them entirely?
Well, that's the fun part of community risk reduction. We've really we're all hazards fire department. That's almost all of our fire departments now. We don't just show up when your home's on fire. We show up whenever you need us. And on the fire marshal side, we want to prevent all of your injuries. We want to prevent all of the times when you're getting hurt. We want to stop, premature age adjusted mortality. We want to find ways to help you, whether that's giving, education to teenagers about texting and driving, or helping our older adults in their homes with, mobility assistance devices, or even the nutrition side. Like, what do we do with all these things? The fire departments really, I think overall across the United States, are doing more with less.
Yeah.
And that's just one side of my job, which is the community risk reduction, where I get to kind of help where we're needed. And a lot of that is we don't know yet. We got to figure it out.
Right. It's all new. And even once you figure it out, it changes again.
Yes, that's what I'm learning. Because
Right.
from here to Commerce City, very different problems.
No kidding. And
Yeah.
tell me about your work when you were with the U.S. Fire Administration.
So I've been teaching for the National Fire Academy. I mostly teach, believe it or not, in the fire investigation curriculum. That's how I got started my career. I started my career in the fire service as a fire investigator. Prior to that, I was an aircraft mechanic for 10 years in the Air Force. But started teaching with them. Really, really love it. I've kind of moved from the fire investigation curriculum. I don't do as much of that anymore. And now I'm really happy. I get to teach managing effective fire prevention programs and also some policy courses. So public policy and how we integrate that and kind of get buy-in to make our policies work, but also get buy-in for our policies.
I see. Did you ever think that there might be an integration between your aircraft maintenance skills and firefighting?
Not a chance ever. It was, believe it or not, a total accident. I loved being a mechanic. I loved to fly. I was a flight mechanic for years and got really good at fixing the airplane. And when you get really good at fixing the airplane, they ask, well, what went wrong on aircraft mishaps? So not just the airplane crashed, but hey, we had something happen on the ground, something went wrong. So I kind of got into that, and it's kind of like any career field. Once you get into it, they want you to specialize. And of all the weird fields I could have picked, I picked survivability and crashworthiness, which has a lot to do with fire.
Fascinating, yes. Who
Yeah,
doesn't, I mean, honestly, who doesn't want to know about that, right? Anytime someone gets on a plane, what's the best seat? What do I have to do to increase my chances of surviving if there's a crash or if there's severe turbulence?
if it makes you feel better, that job field has very bad job security. As in, I got very, very qualified in it, and there's not a lot of potential in it because we're just not crashing airplanes as much anymore, which I know people think it's happening all the time. It's really not. It's very statistically incredibly, incredibly low. But survivability deals with the fact that we don't care that the airplane crashed, but we care about the field of how do we stop everyone from dying when it does. It's all the engineering analysis of how do we make sure people don't die when the airplane does crash. We accept that it will, and we work to engineer the airplane so that people don't get hurt or die. So weird field, does integrate
Yeah,
with fire.
very interesting though.
Yes, but no. Luckily, not enough airplanes crash. And I wanted to learn. I wanted to be a really good mishap investigator. So, I wanted to learn fire. So I went to my very first fire department, which was Clovis Fire Department in New Mexico.
Oh,
And,
I've been there. Yes.
oh yes, there's
Yeah.
not a lot to see. We were
No,
to live
don't
there
blink.
for
Don't
10
blink.
years. Yeah, but no, I started with them and ended up having a whole career. Left the Air Force after 10 years and went full-time fire.
Wow. So it's
Yeah,
been a pretty exciting career.
yeah, weird path, but it ended up working out really, really well.
You think those weird paths are the most fun though,
There, got me here.
right? And so you're just brand new there, so you're probably not looking towards what your next job is yet.
No, not yet.
You got to master this one. So, are you a barbecue fan?
I'm sorry.
Are you a barbecue fan?
Yes, but I did marry a Texan, so we're adjusting here.
Okay. Yes. So are you bringing the conflict?
Not yet. We got to move the grill here and get everything set up, and then I think there'll be a conflict.
Right. Because I've heard people on both sides of that, make the allegation towards the other that they don't even know which animal they're supposed to use.
Yeah, as long as it's Texan, I'm okay.
And what makes a Texan?
The way you cook it, which here is not as bad as I thought. I thought they were more vinegar based, and so far so good. It's pretty good. My chief, when I first came out here to do my physical and all that, he had me try it before I left, and he was like, you can't leave and fully accept this job without trying it," and it was pretty good. So I gave him that.
So what's your favorite sauce there so far?
Oh, I don't know if I know enough. I'd say just regular barbecue sauce is fine.
So it's not like a Casey masterpiece versus a.
Oh, I haven't even tried enough yet.
Okay. Well, I think that's probably as contentious as picking sports teams and whatnot.
I would gather so, yes.
You get your diehards there. That's, so in most of the country, I kind of divided places that are on fire and places that are going to be on fire. What type of a wildfire threat, not to your community per se, because you've concreted it all up, but in the surrounding areas, and not just from fire danger, but from smoke. And I'm guessing that if people throughout the U.S. are breathing Canadian smoke, you're susceptible to breathing the smoke from whatever the nearest wildfires upwind of you are.
Yeah.
And who does that look like when you point to where you think fire risk is coming from or fire smoke is coming from? What community is that physically related to you?
So I'm getting to know Kansas a bit, but having driven through, I guess, Western Kansas, I know they're quite a bit at risk. So probably everything outside the KC metro area due west. But I mean, having lived on the plains of Colorado, I mean, their landscape is the same as ours. They have maybe a bit more terrain and maybe a bit more trees. But other than that, it's very similar to where I was way out in the county in Adams County, Colorado.
I see.
I mean, but that's where it would come from, and we were always in a wildfire risk in Commerce City. I mean, you hear Commerce City and you see the high rises and everything to Denver, just west of us, but the population density plus all the fuels around Commerce City, it was always a risk that we worried about. There was a lot of mitigation stuff we tried to do with the city and the codes and kind of try to get ahead of it. It is, especially after the Marshall Fire, we were worried. They are worried now. I mean, even since I've left, I think it's something that people always think about, especially in Colorado, because they know what happened. It happened right up the road.
Yeah.
My department responded. But no, I think it's a risk that even with planning and building that, hey, we know we know we're at risk, and it's just a lot of work to try and prepare for, because it could happen. It could happen to Commerce City, and that was a terrifying thing, because I was a division chief over there as well, and I worry for all the little towns that are just like that, where it could happen to them just as easily.
Do you think that community wildfire risk reduction programs can make the degree of impact that they hope to?
I think that we have to try. So that's one of the things. I think every little thing helps. One of the things I really, really pushed for when I was in Commerce City was I hated AstroTurf. If you look at all the codes and standards, which obviously as a fire marshal, that's where I live in the code books. There is no residential application for AstroTurf. So we were trying to get it out, and we did get it out of the land development code, which is the code for the city. It's not a fire code, because we don't really have jurisdiction on residential. Excuse me. But just getting that out of there, because it was, it's a very combustible finish. For commercial occupancies, yeah, we can address that in the fire code, because all of your building materials have to have a certain flame spread rating, and they also have to be used the way that they're supposed to, and AstroTurf can't be used on your patio at a commercial restaurant, and it shouldn't be used at your house. So we were kind of working on that. We were looking at what we consider some of our vulnerable zones for abatement, and then obviously strict provisions for open burn permits, and then penalties for open burning or weed burning or whatever we could. So little programs.
Yeah.
But they do kind of add up. I mean, we had a really cool program with our homeowners associations. So you have all of your homeowners and getting a contact for each of them, and then finding out what they thought were the vulnerable areas near them. Because, I mean, we're a big fire department. We were at South Adams. But we can't see everything, so kind of enlisting more help for you. And then we did some pre-burning. We did burn the Rocky Mountain Arsenal. I think they would do that probably 2 or 3 times just to kind of manage that fuel. And then just all the little stuff. I mean, everything from fireworks. We started the bucket brigade, which is buckets. We had our fireworks stands, give them out when people bought fireworks. So people would put their fireworks in the bucket that was full of water, and then just put them properly. But I know they're all little things. Don't really have enough data to say if we contributed to the reduction in fire risk, but it's sometimes it is all the little things. They do add up. So we had our programs. We were still kind of running. Obviously, all those programs, I don't have a lot of them here that I will use. But no, it's kind of it's the fun part of the fire department is that it's never going to be one size fits all. That was appropriate for Commerce City. Leawood is going to take different strategies, but they also don't have as high of a risk as Commerce City. I do think they help. I think they certainly don't hurt.
No, not at all. Not at all. So when you're reducing the risk of a community, I guess science and data will tell you like what the most effective things to do are. But what you can actually do is going to depend largely on the sentiments of the community, and then sometimes of the politics of the community. And you might find, Texas versus Kansas versus Colorado, like very different political climates in terms of, I guess the best way to what the people will tolerate in terms of participation from their government.
Yes.
Right.
And,
That in Texas, burning your own land is a religion. But if I were to go try that in Boulder, I'd be locked up.
yes.
Right. So what's your experience with how like the politics of different areas sometimes might contradict what science says is a best practice?
That's the area that I really like. I like the policy area, not necessarily for wildland, but really, really proactive fire prevention, code standards, all of those things. And I've tried to get good, not good enough yet. But what I found with any policy is that no one likes to be told what to do. You can throw all the science at them and hit them in the face with science, and they don't care. They have to want it. And it's one of the things I've really tried to do as a fire marshal. I used to kind of, prompt the theory that we're the salesman of life safety. We sell life safety, but you have to be a good salesman, because if you're not selling it in a way that people want, they're never going to buy it. You need to make people buy what you want them to do, but they need to want to buy it. So you need to make them invest in their own self-preservation. So you need to educate them, bring them in with the process, make them part of that, make them feel invested, make it their problem, but not in a way that it's hurting them, but make them feel proud to be part of the solution. And then they're going to buy that what you're selling, but you need to get them there. So it's a lot of it's a lot of honey versus stick. You really gotta sell this to people, because your policymakers, even if you think they're on your side, they always have people that are going to be behind them that are going to have different ideals, which could conflict with yours. But you have to find a way to get people to invest in what you want them to know. You can't just throw science at them. People don't care about the data, especially if they don't understand it. They're not going to care. You're going to alienate them. So especially with my prevention stuff, it's breaking it down, never making anyone feel dumb. You want to bring them in and make them, equal part of the process, part of the solution. And then you want to show it to them and say, hey, I have this. Do you want to buy this? And you hope that you've sold them at this point enough that they want to buy what you're selling, which is your idea for policy, but you want their buy-in for that. And that's the most effective way, in my opinion, to get things passed, to get things through, to get things moving, to really have a proactive community. Is you have to find a way to really bridge that gap and find a way to sell it to them that they are willing to buy it and they want to buy it. And then they want to sell it to other people. Like that's what you really want. You want them to invest enough that they want to sell it to other people, and you want your idea to spread.
So you want so people would feel left out somehow if they didn't have the wildfire mitigation sign in their yard and all their neighbors did.
Some of that works. Some of it works just like that. People want to feel included. I mean, we have a history of, communities, and they're communities for a reason, because people, in most cases, want to be a part of something. And you can kind of help facilitate that if you include them.
So it's really more like advertising than education, though, right? Because you could educate people all day long, right? Like, smoking's bad for you. Don't eat too much processed food, blah, blah, blah. Like, that doesn't seem to cut down the line at the supermarket for those items.
No, that's why you're a salesman.
Right. So,
you can educate, but it's through selling.
So what type of sales skills do you foster for that? Because I know in the fire academy, they probably don't have classes in advertising, marketing, right? Persuasion, etc. So you kind of had to figure that out on your own, not just how to do it, but the fact that you had to do it.
I think that's a fun part of the job, because you want something that's, so like as fire marshals, we're really educated in the code. And I can tell you all day that I'm going to rate you up for having an extension cord. And you're going to be like, okay, and the minute I leave, you're going to install it back again.
Don't look at my extension cords.
Yeah. But I need to find what matters to you. Like I can say, hey, you're going to have a fire. Hey, you're going to have this. But if I truly work to educate you on why, like giving people the why, selling them that why. Stop telling people what to do. Tell them why. Have them understand, and then have them invest in that. So I can be like, hey, here's all the things that could happen. I I see that you have kids and a dog and all of these things. I don't want you to have a home fire. Here's XYZ. And in some cases, you need to find the mix of, is this a soft approach? Is this a hard approach? Do we talk about fire fatalities? In a lot of cases, that's not appropriate. It's okay for the fire service, but your general public, that's appalling to them. They don't want to hear that. You need to figure out a way to make it their problem. They don't want property damage. They don't want XYZ. Like, what is important to them? And you kind of find that by networking, getting to know them, figuring them out in a way, almost profiling them to figure out what is important to them and then kind of targeting that. Because our approach in emergency services to be like, this is all bad, everyone's going to die, this is all awful, that does not work for your general public. They don't understand that. You're not on their level. You need to find a thing that is important to them, get on that level and work with them, and then sell with a strategy that's appealing to them, but also that they understand. Because they don't understand us half the time, which is okay. I know we're fire services and police forces and military. We're different in that aspect, but we really need to work with our public, and that's finding a strategy that's good for them. And then get it going. Get whatever the thing is that's important to them, explain it in those terms, and then have them invest in it. You really just need people to invest in their own self-preservation. But if they never see a threat, and you can't show that threat in a way that matters to them, they're never going to see it as a threat. Most people will never think their home is going to burn down, ever. So much so that people don't check their smoke alarms. There's so many things where people never think it's going to happen to them, but you got to find a way to relate that to them in a way that they can understand. And that's the same for smoke alarms, carbon monoxide alarms. What I really love is my residential fire sprinklers. That's something I've worked really hard on. But even like all of those concepts, even wildfire, removing your mulch, addressing your combustible zones, you have to find a way to make it matter. Because otherwise they're never going to invest in it. They're never going to do it. They're just going to be like, oh, stop telling me what to do. But make them understand why, and then give them the how, help them with the solution. Don't just tell them why they should fix it. Help them to figure out what are the steps they need to take. You gave them a roadmap. You gave them some heart because now they're invested. They know why they want to do it, and they don't feel alone in the process.
I guess in the course of any given day, people actually do the thing that's most important to them to do that day. And if you're not number one on the to-do list, you're probably not going to get done. So even sometimes, right, they're motivated, they understand what they're supposed to do, they know why they're supposed to do it, they have a good reason, but there's other things they need to get done that day. And then so this just stays forever on the to-do list, and until that Saturday morning when there happens to be nothing else to do, right, that they'll clear their mulch or something. So it's right, it's not just getting it on the list, it's getting it to the top of the list. And what would you suggest for other people doing community risk reduction programs?
I'm always going to go back to the data. So I am a recovering engineer. That is, we love the data. That's how we start. So to look at Commerce City kind of objectively, you have very, very different demographics and very, very different levels of economic stability and prosperity in certain areas. So you can look at Commerce City and be like, oh, the median income is this. But if you look at the South, it is not that. If you look at the Northeast, it is very, very, very different. So much so, you have to figure out what are your problems in whatever areas. So in my southern communities within Commerce City, very socially and economically disadvantaged, they have food insecurity, they have heating insecurity, they have older homes. The average age of the home there is at least 30 to 40 years older than my Northeast area.
I see.
The homes have have less density, so they're further apart. They're older materials. Some of them have basements. My ones up north have full basements. These ones have little crawl spaces. And then also the ethnicity of those areas. So Commerce City South, predominantly Hispanic. When I say predominantly, I mean Caucasian is a minority down there. And predominantly like in the southern area, like where we touch Denver. Go to the Northeast, very, very almost exclusively Caucasian. You
Mhm.
also have a higher economic status there as far as average family income, and you also have like higher educational attainments. So you start to look at, okay, what are these people doing? What is this? What is the the predominant industries in my community? What are these people doing? Where did they come from? What are the common? You even look at crime. What are the crime rates in this area? Because it's going to tell you about that populace. So everything from what is their status as economically, what is their status socially, what is the culture that is the most predominant? Because if you have, especially like a really high high number of foreign-born populace,
Yep.
that's really going to shape and kind of determine what is the culture of that area. So figuring out what is the area I'm working with, and then figuring out effective strategies to target that.
I
Because
see.
I can do things down south, and I'm going to do things very differently than what I'm going to do up north. They have to be completely different strategies. And even with my current community, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what they need yet. I don't know how. I don't know them well enough, but also I don't have the data. Some of the data is there, but I need to study it. I need to learn it, and I need to figure out where the most effective intervention strategy is. So I'd say start with the data, get to know the community, and then if you want to get to know your community, if you want them to do anything, they have to know you. If they don't know you, they can't recognize your face. They don't recognize you as being there and being part of their community. You're an outsider. You have to get to know them, because you're not going to tell anyone that you don't know. They're not going to listen to you. They don't want someone from not their culture, not their community, not their populace, just someone who doesn't understand them or even bother to,
Yeah.
telling them what to do. And I could say that about probably any culture, any demographic, any ethnicity. If I were to go to New York City right now and try to tell people how to do fire safety differently up there, they would be like, "You're not from here," and it matters.
That would be the most polite thing they could say.
I know, but it's the same concept. You get to know your
Yeah.
community, who is there, and then you can figure out intervention strategies. I mean,
So how
you're
do you get known? Like in the community where you are now, how are you introducing yourself to the community so people who know who Brittany Brown is and understand that Brittany cares about the understanding the cultural diversities and the values that are disparate from one community to another? How do you get that message out?
half the time it's just showing up. So here I'm trying to figure out what are my best kind of best ways to get out there, especially stuff with kiddos. Especially when someone's kid knows you, that means a lot. That's trust. So even when I worked back at Lovington, we had a Sparky, and I would have random children all the time that would hug me because I was Sparky's best friend, because I would go all the places with Sparky.
I see.
In Commerce City, it was doing videos, education, outreach. We would do smoke alarms in the neighborhoods. Just having all the community events, but doing things the community wanted.
Yeah.
So we had a community safety day that everything was done in English and Spanish. We worked really hard to get all the pub ed materials in English and Spanish. And then slowly that became all of our materials. All of our materials were both languages, because that was what was appropriate for Commerce City.
Right.
Here in Kansas, not the case. Our predominant demographic is almost exclusively Caucasian. That just this area of the just south of Kansas City. So I have to figure out what works best here. But no, just getting out in the community, getting to know people, even just shopping local and trying to help. Inspections help a lot, but also showing up when you say you will. Like if you say, "Hey, I'm going to help you, business," you have to show back up and help them.
Yeah.
You have to put in the work. Getting trusted in your community, it's a lot of work. I mean, I'm starting over here, but I'm excited for the opportunity. But no, it takes, some people may never trust you. You get those that you can, but you're not going to get anyone if you don't show up.
It'd be very polarizing to, say you're a dry rub person versus a wet rub barbecue person. Like, so you just stay clear of that, right?
I guess so. I don't know the Kansas City jokes yet. I'm still Texan, and I'm never gonna acclimate.
Now Texas is not far away, right? I mean,
No,
but it feels
nice.
yeah. Well, when I lived in Texas, prescribed burn was something almost every homeowner did on a regular basis, biannually. The culture supported that. Right? You call it in and light it up.
Yeah.
And
That in southeast New Mexico, it's the same thing.
yeah, but probably not where you are now.
All right, no, they
Not much to light.
Yeah, they do allow them to have fire pits. So we're kind of working on some education about fire pit safety away from the house.
Okay.
We haven't had any incidents yet, but I project we will. I project that we'll have a fire pit incident due to proximity to combustibles. I hope we don't lose anything more than just we catch it early. But I think that's an area where I can do some education. Because I think that's a thing here. We've had two times where they're like, oh, it almost went, and I'm like, okay, I think the data says this, but also let's go from here. Let's see what we can do.
Yeah, you got your work cut out for you.
Yes.
But you know what? It sounds like the general level of the work is going to be a little more enjoyable there. In terms of maybe a nicer place to live.
And my husband's retired. This is where.
So he retired.
Yes. Yeah, he's retired. So this is the home we picked. We picked Kansas.
Very nice. Well, Kansas picked you as well.
Yes.
Great. Fire Marshal Brittany Brown, thanks so much for joining me on the fire break today. Absolutely fascinating what you're working on.
Thank you so much for having me. This was awesome.
Fire Marshal Brittany Brown, just south of Kansas City in Leawood. So if you're having an event in the area, you should invite her, and she'll come and she'll hand out some fire safety information and get to know you and figure out what it's going to take to push your safety buttons so that you're motivated in your own best interests. I'm Steve Wolf. You've been listening to The Fire Break. We're sponsored by Team Wildfire. Thanks for joining us. Until next time, be well, be careful, be safe.